I'm your host, Logan23. You're joining me for Edge of Extinction, Episode 1. This is your story. You need to endure a hostile wasteland and locate other survivors in a radically changed world. Your character's fate and the fate of many others are yours to determine. Now, choose your starting gear. I feel like for the 12 diamonds, if it's going to give you extra protection, why not? Now that you're equipped, you'll need a name. Your quest for survival begins, John. Finnmark Plateau, Norway. The world is dead. You can't say for how long it happened. Not exactly 5 weeks, maybe 6. It's hard to keep track. The days all seem to blend together now. Your earlier memories are a haze of fever and hallucinations. When the sickness passed, exhaustion, hunger took over, further blurring the details. But by some miracle you survived, and you carried on alone. Ignoring the aching muscles in your arms and legs, you push forward across the endless fields of ice and snow and approach a steep decline. You rush downward, the feel of your skis carving through the snow is exhilarating yet soothing. Your mind slips into a blissful state of numbness. For a moment, all of your pain and suffering slip away, your exhaustion, the hunger, pangs gnawing at your gut, the bitter, relentless cold. Suddenly, your reverie is broken by a loud snap as the binding of one of your skis pops free, sending you hurtling forward in the powder. Wrapped in stoic silence. Gritting your teeth in grim determination, you pick yourself up from the snow and retrieve the errant ski. Examining it, you discover the binding didn't just pop loose, it snapped from the cold. According to the map you keep tucked in your pocket, it's at least 50 miles to the next village. That's up at the gray sky, the light is already fading. Night comes early in the Finnmark winter. With an efficiency born of practice and desperation, you unroll the tent strapped to your backpack and set it up. By the time you finish, night has already fallen. You glance up at the mantle of stars above and see a few ghostly flickers of green light. A few seconds later, the night sky explodes with color. Great green and purple curtains shimmer and dance above you. Gazing up at the glory of the northern lights makes you feel humble, melancholy. Spectacular display is a reminder of the grandeur and glory of nature. Humanity is gone, but the earth and the heavens don't even notice. In the end, all of humanity's achievements, all the perceived greatness of civilization, was meaningless and temporary. Extinction is inevitable. As with the dinosaurs, our time as rulers of this world has come and gone. The air around you suddenly feels colder, shivering from the chill. You crawl into your tent and zip it shut against the cold. Still wearing your survival gear, you wrap yourself in your Arctic sleep bag, feeling very small and alone as you drift off to sleep. You wake the next morning, rested and refreshed. The twin layers of the sleeping bag and your high-end winter outfit kept you warm and cozy throughout the night. Ignoring your growling stomach, you ran out of food 2 days ago. You swapped the broken binding on your ski with a spare from your pack, your last one. Double-check the binding. You examining the new binding closely, making sure everything looks right. Another equipment malfunction could be disastrous. 3 months ago, you left America and rented a remote cabin in Norway for the winter. You wanted to escape civilization, leave the world and all of its problems behind. Now the world is gone. All of your old problems seem silly and insignificant. Now the difference between life and death can be as small as the binding on a ski. You pack up your tent and gear. It doesn't take long. Now that you've gone through all your food, then you strap your pistol to your hip and head out. You fall into a familiar routine, your weary limbs propelling you mile after grueling mile across the snow and ice as you scan the horizon. There are only a few hours of daylight left when you finally crest a ridge and see your objective below. A few dozen small cabins gathered together. A surge of adrenaline spurs you on. You drive your poles into the snow, pulling yourself forward till you see something half buried in the frost, the frozen body of a young man. He's wearing a t-shirt and pants, but he has no boots, jacket, or hat. He's on his side, his arms stiff and contorted, his eyes stare blankly. It isn't hard to imagine what happened. Fevered and hallucinating, the young man wandered outside and succumbed to the cold. You narrowly avoided a similar fate yourself. Luckily, in your fevered state, you stayed inside your cabin, though you have little memory of that time. Scavenge. Drop to a knee beside the body and start rifling through the pockets. There was a time when you would have found looting a frozen corpse abhorrent, but the world is different now. You weren't expecting to find anything, but to your surprise, you discover he's carrying a packet of matches. You tuck them away in your backpack, adding them to the small store of matches you already carry. It isn't much, but every resource is precious. You dig your poles into the snow and press on, leaving the young man behind as you continue towards the village. As you near the cabins on the edge of the town, you notice several of the doors are marked with large red X's, like marks. The people in the village, like so many others, tried to stop the spread of the apocalypse by isolating those who fell sick. It didn't work. The sickness didn't spread from person to person. This wasn't a plague, it was toxins. The entire world's food supply was contaminated. You've seen this enough times to know the chances of finding anything useful inside these cabins, like uncontaminated food, is slim. Usually the only things you discover are the abandoned bodies of the owners, a grisly sight you've already seen far too many times. Head for the town center. You decide not to waste your time on the homes. They only offer false hope and grim reminders of the sickness that obliterated humanity. The only real chance of finding anything useful in this tiny village would be some kind of muster point or town hall where they kept emergency supplies. The short winter day is already fading. You'll have to hurry if you want to finish exploring the town before darkness falls. You pass several more homes branded with the telltale red X as you head to the center of the village. The wind picks up and the temperature drops rapidly. You recognize the signs of a blizzard rolling in. Riding it out in your tent isn't an option. You need to find shelter before it hits. You spot a larger building up ahead, the town hall, ducking your head against the bitter cold gusts. You make your way towards it. Just before you reach the doors, you come across something unexpected. Fresh tracks in the snow, animal tracks. A handful of creatures that survived the apocalypse that wiped out humanity. You found a small herd of reindeer a few weeks ago, but their meat was contaminated. Like the rest of the world's food supply, they were all full of toxins. Just a few bites caused you to relapse in a fever and hallucination. But these tracks are different. Not hooves, but paw prints. 2 sets, one large, one small, heading in different directions. Another gust of wind reminds you of the coming blizzard. Once it hits, the tracks will be lost, but if you don't find shelter, you'll freeze to death in minutes. Head to the town hall. Knowing it's foolish to challenge the blizzard, you seek shelter inside the town hall. Kicking off your skis, you climb the small steps to the entrance. You push against the door, relieved to find it isn't locked. Once you're inside, it takes all the strength to close the doors against the howling winds. Though you are sheltered from the wind, it's still cold inside. You pull a small gas lamp out of your backpack, along with a canister of fuel. Your last one. You waddle close to the lamp, eagerly absorbing the heat put out by its tiny flame, until you feel the circulation coming back into your fingers. As you revel in the warmth, you hear the blizzard still raging outside. Knowing you're trapped here for the night, you decide to explore your surroundings and look for signs of survivors, food, something to barricade the door. Food. Now that you're no longer on the verge of hyperthermia, the hunger pangs in your stomach have returned. You scour the building, hoping to find something safe to eat. The main part of the interior is a large meeting hall with a podium up front and chairs for about 30 people. A long table in the back holds an empty coffee dispenser, a stack of styrofoam cups, and a pile of paper plates, but nothing edible. In the back of the building are several offices. Apart from the standard furnishings, they are also empty. As you expected, there's no one else around. In the last office, however, something catches your eye. A small table in the corner, you see a microphone, a headset, and what appears to be a ham radio. You check the radio, confirming your suspicion that it's dead. But beside it, you see a sheet of paper with Tromstad Heligdurum scribbled in red marker. Below, the list of names: Grace, David, Dag, Hildy, Marco, and a date. 23/1/25, just a few weeks ago. Decipher the note. You pull out your Norwegian English dictionary. Helligdom translates to sanctuary, but you don't find an entry for Tromsdon. Something about the word triggers your memory, and you dig out the map you keep in your pack. It doesn't take long for you to find what you're looking for. Tromsdon, a coastal city several hundred miles to the south. Sanctuary. Tromsdon. Written on a note dated just a few weeks ago, the evidence leads to two scenarios to pop in your head. 1. The list of names of the group of survivors gathered at Tromsdon. They sent a message before the radio died. Someone received the message, then sent off to Tromsdon or passed away. It might even have been frozen young man you discovered. Maybe feverish and hallucinating, he tried to walk to Tromsdon without a jacket. Alternatively, the names could be villagers who set off to Tromsdon, though it seems unlikely such a small town would have so many survivors. Either way, your course of action is clear. The journey to Tromsdon will be long and difficult, but if there's a chance of finding other survivors, you have to risk it. But I'll never make it all the way if I don't find some food in the next few days. With the storm still raging outside, you bring your sleeping bag into the room and lay it next to the radio. You extinguish your lamp, and the room falls into darkness. As you drift off to sleep, you make a plan, or at least the beginning of one. Ride out the blizzard, find some food, and then Tromsdon. When you wake up the next morning, the blizzard has passed. Half-remembered dreams linger in your mind, dreams of finding survivors, other people in Tromsdon. But for some reason, you can't recall if the dreams were pleasant or nightmares. Your stomach rumbles as you pack up your gear, a reminder that before you can consider the journey south, you have to find some food. As you leave the town hall, you feel focused. You quickly evaluate the situation. The blizzard is gone, the sky is clear and sunny, but it's still cold out, and everything is covered in 2 feet of snow. Pushing through drifts will make it harder to search the town for food, but you're not going to give up. Not now that you have a goal. I'm not sure what's waiting for me in Tromsdon, but I sure as hell plan to make it there and see for myself. The fresh powder from the storm is too soft for skis. They'll sink down and stick, so you set out on your snowshoes, trudging over the soft, packed surface. You make your way through the empty village streets, looking for any shops or stores. If you're lucky, you might stumble across some packages of soup or canned goods. As you round a corner, you see something that stops you dead in your tracks. In the middle of the snow-covered street, less than 50 yards away, is a large brown bear. The old rhyme runs through your head. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, say goodnight. Okay. But that advice assumes brown bears aren't foraging for food. And this bear looks hungry. You can see ribs and the ridge of its spine protruding beneath the fur. Large folds of loose skin droop down from its massive frame, further evidence that it's burned through its stores of winter fat some time ago. Imagine it consumed tainted food before hibernating. Maybe the toxins woke it up early from its hibernation. The bear looks over to you. Instinctively, your hands drop to the pistol on your hip. But you know the weapon isn't large enough to slow the beast down if it charges. The bear's gaze is riveted on you as it tries to determine if something it can eat. It snorts and snuffs loudly, then lets loose a low, rumbling growl. Yeah, but you may startle if you fire the pistol, you may startle the bear. If you freeze in place, it may not think you're anything. You go still as a statue. Afraid any movement might trigger an attack, the bear starts towards you with slow, cautious steps, grunting and huffing. You remain frozen, hoping it will ignore you, but the bear rears up its hind legs and lets out a wailing, desperate moan, then drops down on all fours and charge. Run. You turn and flee in the opposite direction, your snowshoe-clad feet churning desperately. The bear lets out a loud roar and gives chase. At any moment, you expect to feel the claws raking at your back, or feel 800 pounds of flesh and fur slamming you. You hear the bear grunting and growling. You can feel warm breath on your back, and then you hear another sound, a sharp, high-pitched bark. Drop to the ground and roll to the side, and the bear rumbles on past, skidding and sliding in the snow. And as the bear turns, something flashes in the corner of your eye, a gray streak of fur shooting towards your enemy. It's a large husky, bounding through the snow. Go, little guy, go! The dog howls and leaps onto the bear's back, sinking its jaws into the folds of its flesh just above the neck. Roaring in pain, the bear rears up, pawing and clawing at the dog, but the husky's jaw remains clamped tight and the bear can't reach its attacker. The great beast shakes itself desperately from side to side. The husky's thrown off and lands on his feet in the snow, snapping and barking at the bear. I'm gonna shoot the bear. Take aim and fire a single shot. The bullet catches the bear in the shoulder and it howls in pain. The husky lunges forward, snapping and growling. Injured and outnumbered, the bear turns and breaks into a long, loping run. The husky barks once more, a warning not to return. Well, hello, beautiful. As the bear disappears around the corner, the husky turns its attention to you. It sits down in the snow, then cocks its head to one side and stares expectantly. Approach the dog slowly. Crouch low and extend a hand as you slowly make your way towards the husky. In response, it hunkers down in the snow. The dog watches you approach warily. It isn't growling or baring its teeth, but it's clearly nervous. You see the dog's muscles tense as if it's ready to leap up and bolt at the first sign of danger. You reassure it with a soft, soothing tone. Hey there, boy. How you doing? It's okay. I'm just coming to say hi. Dog stands up as you near, but doesn't flee. Up close you realize she's a female. Oh, you're not a boy, you're a girl. Right, because you're checking back there? Her fur is dirty and matted, and up close she smells bad enough that you wrinkle your nose, but you know you don't smell any better yourself. Well, I guess we could both use a bath. You reach down to pat the dog, and she darts away, scattering snow, but stops after a dozen paces. Unlike the bear, the dog appears to be well fed. Then, for the first time, she turns her back on you and walks slowly, gingerly into the village, leaving paw tracks behind. I just hope that wherever you're taking me, there's something I can eat. The dog leads you through the snow-filled streets, constantly pushing on ahead. She keeps her distance. She glances back often. Sometimes you lose sight of her, but walking too fast only sends her running. Your guide eventually brings you to one of the homes on the outskirts of the village. Like many of the others, this one has a red X on the door. Is this where you live? Is this your home? She heads around the back of the house. Apart from the dog's own tracks, in the new fallen snow, you don't see any signs of life. Follow the dog. The house holds little interest for you. The tragic scene inside will undoubtedly be like those you've encountered far too many times already. Behind the house you find a small hill. Really just a mound. There's a wooden door built to the side, but it's just open wide enough for a dog to slip through. You kick away the snow piled up on the door and force it open wide enough for you to pass through. Beyond, a set of narrow steps descends into the earth. You follow it down, realizing that this is someone's underground cellar, a naturally refrigerated storehouse carved into the permafrost beneath the topsoil. The ceiling is low, and you're forced to crouch as you go in. You pull your flashlight from your pack and take stock of your surroundings. The dog is sitting in the middle of the floor along with the back wall. Slabs of meat, cleaned and dressed, hang from the hooks in the ceiling. The table against the side wall is covered with dozens of fish frozen whole and piled on top of each other, along with packages of what appears to be homemade jerky. One of the slabs of meat lies in the corner, half-eaten. You realize the dog must have pulled it off one of the hooks and used it to sustain herself. Aren't you a clever girl? Your stomach rumbles as you go over to the jerky on the table. The meat is sealed inside Ziploc bags, each with a description and a date written on it. You know just enough Norwegian to recognize the words reindeer and moose, but what you're more interested in is the date scrawled on the side, 923. If it's accurate, the jerky and possibly everything in the cellar has been here for almost 18 months, since, well, the world's food supply became infected. I'm gonna test it on the dog. Take the jerky out of the package and toss a small piece on the floor. If it's contaminated, it won't take much to trigger a toxic reaction. Here you go, girl. Help yourself. Also, the dog will turn its nose up at you. The husky looks at you warily, then comes forward and gobbles the jerky up in a few quick bites, and you sit down and watch and wait. You're adorable. To your surprise, the dog comes over and rests her head in your lap, her nostrils flare, drawing in your human scent. You reach out and scratch her behind the ears, all the while watching for familiar symptoms. After an hour, the dog has fallen asleep in your lap. No tremors, no spasms, no vomiting, or signs of pain or discomfort. I think we're in the clear, girl. The dog barks a reply as you stand up and gorge yourself on the jerky. You tear at the tough, leathery meat with an almost primary savagery. You feast until your stomach is full, load up your pack with as much jerky as you can carry, and unpack your sleeping bag. Outside, the late afternoon sun dips beneath the horizon, ushering in the long, dark night. Wrap yourself inside your sleeping bag, then treat yourself to another helping of jerky. The dog looks at you expectingly, and you toss a piece in her direction. She snatches it out of the air and gobbles it down in two quick gulps. In a matter of hours, she seems to have transformed. The fear is gone. If we're going to be hanging out together, I guess I'm going to have to give you a name. We have Trixie. Hold on, let's see. Random. Shadow. I like that one. Bella. Willow. Bella. Trixie. Lacey. Sugar. I'm gonna go Shadow. You kind of look like a shadow to me. Do you like the name Shadow? She barks twice and wags her tail. I guess that settles it then. Shadow comes over and lies down at your side, so close you can feel her weight pressing you up against you. It isn't surprising she's bonded so quickly with you. Dogs are pack animals, and she's clearly latched onto you as her new leader. You stroke her matted fur, making a mental note to grab a brush somewhere so you can comb out the worst of the knot. Hey, maybe we can find some shampoo and give you a bath. The only response is a deep, contented snore. Good night, Shadow. Sleep tight. Like the music. Wake up the next morning, feeling better than you have in days. Shadow perks up when you greet her. Teach Shadow to obey commands, explore the rest of the town, head for Tromston. Head for Tromston. Now that you have a goal, you're eager to set out. In preparation, you spend the next day gathering up as much meat and jerky as you can carry. You also find some pet supplies in a small drugstore that night, and you bathe Shadow and brush her down. The following morning, long before the late rising sun makes an appearance, you strap on your skis and set out across Finnmark's frozen plateau once more. It will be days, maybe even weeks, before you reach your destination, but you're actually looking forward to the arduous journey. But for one thing, you aren't traveling alone anymore. Shadow trots along happily at your side, and now your wanderings have a purpose. For the first time in weeks, you allow yourself to believe that maybe the world hasn't ended. Maybe there are other survivors. And maybe, just maybe, find a new life in Tromston. Hold on. Oh, apparently we have a relationship. This is new. I like this. Shadow is our best friend. Okay. And without further ado, thank you all for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And down in the description below, links to social media, Discord, few links to support me and my content. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this new story that they've put out. So apparently it looks like it'll be updated every Wednesday or so. So yeah. I would say definitely go with the gear if you are considering or not of to do it or not. So far, it looks like it's made some small difference. Instead of being cold and shaky and whatnot, it's warm and snuggly. So far, yes, I might have initially played episode 1 and failed. I will give you that. I will give you that small tidbit. And hey, considering hitting that bell icon to receive notifications and the join button to support the content. And without further ado, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.